Well, this is the weather forecast for today, and this is what the tides are doing. So we've got one of those little narrow windows in the weather again to get out on the boat and see if we can't catch some fish. I'm not going to do anything too adventurous today. I'm going to go and anchor up off Seaford Head there and see what turns up, really. I'm sure we'll catch some whiting if nothing else. But we'll try for some other stuff as well, see if we can't get something a bit more exciting. But if all I do is catch whiting, that's exciting as it's going to be, I guess.
This world that was my surroundings, my heart screamed out for more. It's the storm inside that's breaking my heart each morning while it keeps it going. It's been driving my life into both joy and sorrow. There's still a long way to go.
Right, we're nearly where we're going. Where I'm heading for is, there's a reef. You can see this reef, this feature on the bottom. We're going to anchor just outside the reef. The idea being that the fish will be channeled along by the edge of the reef there. That's my theory. The other thing I'm going to do is, and what I like to do when I'm fishing at the anchor like this, is I'm going to put a rubby sack or a chum sack or whatever you like to call it down on the anchor. And the idea being that it will create a stream of scent that flows out from the boat, and any fish that's moving around will cross that stream and then follow it up to see what's causing it, and hopefully come across my baits on the way. Now, what I do is I go to the local fish market the morning before I come out fishing, and I speak to Kerry Bickerstaff in there, and she gives me a sack of bits, all the stinky stuff out of her bin. So yeah, so put it in an onion sack. In fact, I double skin my onion sacks because I've had it in the past where the dogfish or taupe or whatever come and rip the sack open, and you end up with nothing in there because it all comes out the hole. So by double skinning it, it just stops that happening. It just keeps the scent going for a bit longer. So we'll talk that through when I set it up, yeah, we'll be chucking the anchor now. We're very nearly there actually. I'm only going out slowly because it is actually quite sloppy out here at the moment. I'm thinking from the forecast that there was a bit of a breeze yesterday, and that this is going to calm down today. So here we are. We've got our onion sack full of fish bits. Obviously I don't want to drip that on the deck because it will stink, because it is fish guts and place frames and anything else that she could get out of the bin. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie it onto the nose of the anchor here. So I've got a bit of rope here that I've got from before. I need to just untangle that, and then it'll tie off on there, and then we'll drop the anchor. You put it on the nose of the anchor because it's out of the way there, yeah? So hard to do single-handed and hold a camera. Just steam back up, so it shows that there's a bit of tide. The tide is still, well actually the tide is ebbing now. It's interesting to know. Right, so let's get back up to where we want to be and get this bad boy down. Right, we're there. So let's get this over the side. Okay, don't want a boat full of stinky fish guts. Need to get some stainless steel and put it on this edge to protect it from the chain. To handball this out each time, it's hard work. Ordinary ring and ordinary buoy. Just want to give myself a little squirt backwards, I think. Get the magic triangle on there. That just holds the buoy up from the bow of the boat. Dog rope it to the front of the boat. Right, so the anchor's down with a nice big rubby sack on it, putting out loads of scent down tide, so big plume of scent going behind the boat here. So the next thing we need to do is get some baits down. So let's get that done and then get the kettle on. So let's get tackled up and get a few baits down. Right, so we got a couple of baits down. Next most important thing is get the kettle on. So let's get the kettle on. Keep an eye on my rods for me while I'm doing that. Yeah. Right, kettle's on, and I think that right hand rod's been nodding. I'll have a wind it up and have a look. Oh, something on there. Might be bringing the other lead up actually. I think I'm bringing my other lead up. Boat's been swinging around a little bit, I think, and let's pick the other lead up. Yeah, most certainly has. There's a fish on there though. Oh, there's a dogfish on there. So one thing about putting a rubby sack down is it does attract the dogfish. But made himself into a right old mess. Might have even picked up both hooks actually. Bloody thing. Bertie likes a dogfish, so not a blank. Let's get rid of him and let's sort this almighty mess out that he's created. Oh God. I have to do a bit of surgery here, I think. Get a knife out. That is the sound of the kettle boiling. Very welcome, very welcome. Dog's in his bed. Right, let's get a cup of tea in your hand. Cup of tea. Oh. Tastes a bit funky, but it's hot and it's wet and it's sweet. And now for a piece of cake. Jamaica ginger cake. It's the only sticky cake I could find in the garage. I can't open it. It says I've got to use a pair of scissors. Dog's woken up. Don't know that you're going to like ginger cake, mate. Chicken cake, cup of tea. Come on, fish. Once I've had my cup of tea, what I might do is lift my anchor and have a go dropping it again, because I have drifted quite a long way. I wouldn't have said the tide's flowing, but I wouldn't have said it was that strong. Come on in. Well, he likes ginger cake. Go on in. Ah, your head butted it. Come up here. Another bit, and then I'll retrieve that bit and you can have that as well. Here you go. Woof. Got a dog who likes ginger cake. He's just got a sweet tooth, I think. You can tell it's winter because I've got my woolly hat on. It is quite cold, I must admit. I've also got my electric Kemimoto vest on, and it's switched on and it's nice and toasty. Oh, it's a guarantee, isn't it? Got a bit of cake in my hand and I got a bite. A bit of wine into that. Put my cake down next to my cup of tea. Right, what we got on here? Ooh. Don't say I'm bringing up the lead again, the other lead again. Feels weighty. I think it might be another dogfish. Once I'm happy with this anchor, I will put some bigger baits down, see if we can't pick up a conger eel or cod or something like that. What we got here? Oh, we've got a dogfish and a whiting, if that's possible. There's one hook, two fish, and the dogfish has dropped off. Tell I've got a dogfish because the dog's going mental. But got a little whiting, put him back. And a dogfish that was hanging onto the worm, and obviously got caught on his teeth, we couldn't let go. Shush! Wait! No! That dog is fixated on dogfish. Right, it's gone! A flights of birds going through, so the old guillemots, the penguins as I call them. Seaford penguins. We get a report every year that someone's seen a penguin off Seaford Beach, and of course it's a guillemot or a razorbill. But I suppose if you don't really know what you're looking at, they kind of look like a penguin. Razorbills in particular. Right, back to my cup of tea and cake. I'm going to bring these rods up now. I'm going to lift my anchor and try shooting it again. Maybe put a lot more anchor warp out. The one downside of having that ordinary ring and the buoy on the rope is that once you've got that on, there's no point in you paying more rope out because it's still going down at the same angle. So I think what I need is to get it a much more shallower angle between the anchor and that buoy. So we'll bring it up. We'll go back to where we dropped it originally, drop it again, pay out a lot more rope this time, and see how that goes. It's been a bit of concern with me because this anchor has dragged a few times, and it might just be that I've been a little bit too keen in setting it. Just need to feed it out a bit further. Oh, there's a fish on here, I think. What's the betting? What's the betting? It's one of Bertie's favourites. Oh no, it's a whiting. Didn't see that bite at all. Shush! Might keep that for bait. Might put that down as a conger bait. There might be something on here as well, actually. Yeah. A very small pouting. Well, that's 3 species on the boat. Oh, I should have used that pouting as bait, shouldn't I? Shouldn't have chucked it back. Never mind, it's done now. Right, let's lift this anchor up and reset it. Right, we've got the anchor back down again. Got the anchor alarm on now again, so it'll give us an idea if it's dragging. Come to a slightly different spot. We are next to, it's a mark that's known as Church Green, and I think the reason it's called Church Green is, I don't know if you can see this, but on the cliff there, there's a square of green that comes down. Let's move the camera around so you get a better view of that. So let's turn the camera around. Zoom in. Right, so you see there's a square of green, so there's like a little piece of grass that grows on the cliff face there, and to the left of it you can't quite see it now because there's a lot of mud on it because of all the rain we've had, but there's a pinnacle or a peak, and it looks like a church spire, so I think that's why it's called Church Green. But it was a well-known mark back in the day before GPS and what have you. People would come and fish Church Green, so we'll fish Church Green, see how we get on. So let's get some baits down. Okay, so I've cut some flappers into that little whiting that we had, and I put that down on a bigger weight, on a bigger rod, just in case we pick up an eel. And I've got 2 worm baits down. Nothing seems to be happening at the moment, I don't think. Bit of tide running now. I think the anchor's dragging again, but not nearly as bad as it was. Hopefully it's set in actually. Looking at the GPS, it doesn't look like I'm moving now. So it might, the anchor arm might just come off because the boat was swinging across to be settled in tide. So anyway, carry on drinking my cup of tea. Good thing about a thermal mug is that your tea stays warm, in theory. So I've just put fishy fingers all around these mouthpieces, and it's nice and warm. Happy days. Now the other good thing about this boat, I don't have to sit out here in the cold. I can go and sit in the warm. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll leave the rods going, and I will put the camera back on when and if something happens. Right, been doing a little bit of housekeeping in the boat. I've set up a camera mount so that I can actually film the GPS and the fish finder, etc. So just for a bit of B-roll. So I haven't been concentrating on these rods, but this is heavy because I've got round the bloody lines again. But I have also got king size, well not king size, a pouting. Sorry for the back view while I sort this out. Some of you might not know why, or you may have seen anglers doing this and you don't know why. I mean, those of you that do know this thing, you know, go and make yourself a cup of tea while I explain this. But we're fishing with worms. These are black lugworm. When they pump them, they then strip the guts out of them, so there's no guts in them. It's just the hollow tube, if you like, and then they're wrapped up in paper. And these have been wrapped up in paper for a couple of days now. But if you knock them, there's still enough light in them for them to actually tense up. So let's see if we can see that happening. So here's quite a nice lugworm. I'll whack it down, and you see it tenses up, which makes it easier to put on the hook. You know, they shrivel up and they go quite hard. I mean, it's quite tense now. It was quite limp when I took it out of the wrapping. Let's take another one out. So it's quite limp, as you can see. If you knock it, it goes hard. So it's much tenser. So it makes it easier to go on the bait, on the hook. So that's why you do it. Obviously, if you knock them and nothing happens, then they're kind of past their sell-by date. They're no longer live. But they stay live wrapped in paper for quite a few days. And if you keep them in the fridge and what have you, yeah, they're good baits. Sometimes stinky old 3-day-old lugworm fishes better than fresh stuff, particularly if you're after dabs. Right, while I'm talking about that, got a definite rattle on this rod. There you go, quite a good one. If I get some decent sized whiting, I'll take them home and I'll cook them up, make a fish pie of them. But the fillets are so small on them that, to be honest, it's not worth the effort. Might be a dogfish actually. It's quite solid. It's got putting a bend in this rod, this lovely light rod. So it's a salt sniper, Sakura salt sniper slow jigging rod. But it's my favourite rod at the moment. So good, so good. There we go. What have we got here? Oh, we've got a pouting. Pouting are getting bigger, but still, let's put him back. Too big to keep for bait. Spit it out. And he went away. So we're just scratching around really, see what's out here. I was hoping it'd be going a little bit madder than this, and there's a reasonable chance that amongst all the whiting there'd be a haddock, which would be a right result. You'd definitely get some music and a dance if I caught a haddock. Also, oh, the lead hit the bottom, I got an almighty knock. Let that soak for a while. Let's bring this one in. It's been out for a while now, and because I've not been watching the rod tips, I'm not seeing the bites. Don't think there's anything on here. Oh no, there is. One spinning whiting, little tiny pin whiting. We'll keep him for bait. Always let it down in stages, don't just let it run down, because what will happen is your bait will come up and it will spin around your line, which you don't want. Because if it's up off the bottom, you're not going to catch any fish, or you're not going to catch many. I think I might put the kettle on again. What do you reckon? Yes, why not? I'll show you that little bit of housekeeping I've done. So I put a camera mount here so that I can actually have a GoPro filming the screen. Obviously, I'm not going to want to leave that on all the time because it's quite in the way of the view, but it should make quite a good video. So let's just whack it on and I'll edit that in. So there you go, that's what we're seeing. And here's the video. that we shot. I'll stop that. The great thing about being at anchor like this on a reasonably calm day is you can get lots of little housekeeping jobs done. So another little housekeeping job I've done is that I've transferred my anchor rope into a new bucket, because the old bucket was starting to fall to pieces. So we can get rid of that, find a bin for it, and got a new bright shiny yellow anchor bucket. And the kettle is singing. So it won't be long before we hear that whistle. Oh, it's the dog. I thought it was the kettle whistling, but it's not, it's the dog whining. He probably wants a wee, actually. The problem is he will come out here, he won't wee until he's absolutely desperate. And there's the kettle whistling, so let's make a cup of tea and chill. I've eaten all the cake. Right, cup of tea time. Right, I'm gonna bring up this conger bait, the whiting flapper that's on there, just to see if it's been completely mullered by dogfish or whatever, or it's tangled up round the. The boat is obviously spinning around because I've caught a bloody line again. Don't want to wrap it around a prop. But that whole whiting that was on there has wholly gone. So I'm suspecting that the dogfish have had a feast on it. Or it could be whiting. Whiting are like piranhas. When they get going, they just strip things. A couple of years ago, I was out here fishing with whole cuttlefish, and literally 5 minutes and they were gone. The whiting were just devouring them. And that was the day that I thought it was a big whiting because it was big. Got it up onto the surface and then it came off. But it could have been haddock, actually. We never know. We'll never know. But you know, that's one of my hopes out here. Maybe I'm a little bit early. Maybe another few weeks until we've had a few good frosty days, cold waters coming down the rivers and stuff like that. But anyway, let's get a fresh bait on here and get it down there. All pouting, flappered up. Still got his guts and everything in it. There should be loads of juices coming out of it. And we'll drop him down to the bottom, see how we get on. Well, it's gone very quiet. Let's wind these rods up just to see if we've got any bait left on them, or if there's a fish asleep on there. Because I haven't actually seen many of my bites today. I've seen a couple, but not all of them. But I think there's some the bait robbing mafia down there. Oh, bending this rod again. How long this has been, whatever's on here has been sitting on here. There is a fish on here. Oh yeah. Epoxy pouting, which is weird because they normally go loopy. So I don't know why I'm not seeing the bites. We're not going to keep them as bait. Get him back. Put a fresh bait on. Give that whole worm a good knock. We haven't got much longer, and then we're going to have to start heading in because I've got to get in with 2 hours before low water, otherwise I won't get on my mooring. And I think low water is about 3:30, So that means I've got to be in by 1:30, no, 1:30, which means I've got to leave about 1 o'clock. So yeah, we've got about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour's fishing, and then we've got to pack it up. Right, let's just check this one. Bertie, stop it. Doesn't feel like there's anything on this one. But there's no bait, so I've been fishing with a shiny hook. There's a, I don't know if you can see him up here, but there's a pair of gannets up there. Up, 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 up. Look up, look up, look up, look up, look up, look up. Nah, a pair of gannets flying through. So there's an indication that there's some sort of bait fish here, sprats or whatever. Won't be mackerel now. Herring maybe. Perhaps I should have put a jig down. Just switch the view over to fish finder view. Loads of mid-water fish, loads and loads of mid-water fish. So I'm thinking probably sprats or herrings, you know, small stuff. Which is why there are gannets around looking at them. But yeah, perhaps I should be jigging. Perhaps I should have some sabikis on. Just with a little jigging rod going. A few fish on the bottom as well. They're showing up on the bottom, lots of fish on the bottom. So that's be whiting and pouting and dogfish and what have you. But yeah, it's a nice, the sea is alive. We'll leave we won't bring the conger rod up because it should still be nice and fresh. My little jig rod here is going, got a good knock on it. So I'll turn around so you can see it. Take it off me. So you can see the bite. Of course, put the camera on it and it's done, isn't it? Bertie, stop it. Yeah, there we go. Nice little rattle on there. Let's get that in, see what we got. Ooh, here we go. Something solid on there. Something, yeah, quite solid on there. Dogfish probably. It's got a bend in the rod anyway. Not bringing up any other leads, am I? Don't think. And with a little light rod like this, to be honest, it's, you know, everything's a fight. Oh, it's because it is a pouting and it is foul hooked. It's a granddaddy pout, but it's hooked in its gut. So that's why it felt like it was something big. Oi! No. Foul hooked. Don't know how you manage that. I think he will end up as seagull food somehow. There's nothing, there's no fish there. Look, it's a worm. You can't have it. No. You go back in the cabin. Right, you're back in the cabin, mate. Right, back in your bed. So the dog's back in his bed because can't have that. Well, it's 12:30, so I better start thinking about pulling the anchor up and heading back in. Got to get it back in for the tide, and also it's the boss's Christmas do this evening, and I've got to take her into Brighton. So yeah, start winding in, tackling up or tackling down, and then I'll get the anchor in. I hope you've enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a scratchy, very narrow window. Oh, of course, now I'm talking, I've got a bite. So it's been a bit of a scratchy day. I didn't anticipate. I was hoping to get a few more whiting than this, to be honest. But they're here. Again, camera's on the rod. It stopped doing it. But it's been a scratchy day. I wasn't expecting to catch a great deal. But it was just good to get out. Good to get out on what is a very narrow window in the weather. And it's a window in the weather that is pinched between the tide and daylight as well. So I could have stayed out another couple of hours probably and got back in daylight. But the low tide. Oh, I've taken the camera off this rod and you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I'll put the camera back on and it stops. Oh no, there it goes. So let's wind it in, see what's on here, see what pouting we've got. The fact that we're picking up pouting means we are quite near the reef, I think. Oh, not fit. Oh, there we go. There it is. There he is. What we got? Oh, it's actually halfway reasonable whiting. A halfway reasonable whiting. Just present it to the camera. No dog's seen it. So, bucket full of them, and I would have taken them home and cooked them, but one's not worth it. So he goes back, and he's away off like a torpedo. We're going to tackle this up now. We're going to put it away. So let's unclip it all, and put it away. I've never known a dog get so excited by fish. He's obviously a CJ dog, isn't he? That's one rod away. Great. Ow! Great, he says, pulling a hook into his leg. Everything here is in sections, so I can take it apart very easily. Stop it! So there's the boom off. Just strip the hook snood off there. So there's the boom, there's the weight, there's the hook snood. So if I was in a tangle or anything like that, it's very easy to dismantle it. Get the conger rod in next, I think. Ooh. I wouldn't be surprised there's not a dogfish or something on here. I know. So you can see the old dogfish have been having a munch at it. Bertie, stop it! As I said, very simple, it's all in components. I like to use these tubey booms, and I pre-rig them. So I put a bit of, I don't know, 60 or 70 pound line through it. Have a bead there above the swivel and a loop at the top. So they are just a component. I haven't got to be threading things through tubes, which is a little bit difficult to do, particularly braid. It's really hard to get through them. So that's already set up, and that just goes down, clips in, clips out, easy peasy. And the conger trace is a ready-made 200 or 150 pound monofilament with a, I think that's a 10-0 Cox and Rule meat hook. So that's the second rod put away. I have these ready rigged as well, so I've got a bead and a clip swivel at the end there, and I keep them in those like that, so that it's, again, for ease and speed of setup. And last but not least, this hasn't produced today really much, is it? I've had dogfish on it, I think. Anything on here? Doesn't feel like there's anything on here. Right, that's it. So let's put this rod away, and then it's pull the anchor and head in. The sea has gone flat now. The sea is flat. Would you believe it? I mean, it's been flattening out all day, to be honest, but it's lovely and flat now. It's a pity we got to go back in. Got some interesting birds migrating through. I think I've just seen some mergansers. I thought I saw them earlier on. Either mergansers or gooseanders. Probably mergansers. I'll have to look it up in the book. One of them likes to go out to sea, the other one not so much. Right, I'll leave the camera on whilst I'm lifting up my buoy, my anchor. I'll leave it the camera pointing out to the back of the boat, so you should see the buoy come past here and behind the boat, if I'm doing it right. I'll stop it following me. Right, so it should be locked on, facing out the back of the boat, start the engine, and the next time you see me, fingers crossed, is when I'm winding in the anchor, pulling the anchor rope. There we go. So the anchor is now hanging underneath that buoy, quite a long way away, but I haven't got to lift the anchor. The buoy is holding it, just a case of bringing the buoy in. Make sure the boat doesn't turn around. I've got to keep it off to the side of the boat because I don't want the buoy. What could happen is you end up with the anchor warp one side of the boat and the buoy the other side of the hull of the boat, and then that's not good. Not good at all. Here's my magic triangle. So this was where the buoy was when we were at anchor, and the buoy is now a long way down the tide. Definitely putting a longer set of rope in, stop the anchor pulling anyway. Oh, it's the only exercise I'm getting at the moment. Mind you, I've joined a gym, and it opens about now actually. Midday today, I think it's opening. So I might have to get down to the gym, start doing a bit of a workout, get rid of some of these pounds that I've gained. Whew. Still a way to go. Now, we've got a chain on here. The chain is a long chain. It helps because it means that the anchor is being pulled horizontally rather than diagonally. And it also has the benefit that once it pulls through the ordinary ring, it's heavier than the anchor, so that the anchor hangs underneath the ordinary ring, counterbalanced by the chain. It's important that you do that, because otherwise, as soon as you stop pulling, the anchor will drop back to the bottom again, and you don't want that. Generally, the anchor should pull up and be actually the leg or the arm of the anchor should be hanging through the ordinary ring, but it doesn't always happen. Doesn't always happen. Because it'll catch on the shackle. So you've got the weight of the chain counterbalancing the anchor, and I know it's happening because the line is going down at an angle now to the end of the chain. So the buoy's getting close now. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there's the buoy. Let's see. Next thing is to find out if my new yellow bucket fits in the rope well. All the rope fits in it, which is good. This is where it gets a bit heavy because I've got to lift up the anchor chain. and I've got to do it so I'm not dragging it across the side of the boat. Do need to put a bit of stainless steel on here, I think. Oh, heavy chain. There's the anchor. And it was... You can see the ordinary ring. The anchor was all the way through the ordinary ring, which is what we wanted. There's the buoy off. And we're no longer at anchor. Next thing is we want to see if this will fit into the locker. So let's try that. See if I can get back face tracking me. Whew. So I'll take all the heavy things out of the bucket, I think. So it's easy to manhandle it. Yeah, fits a dream. Fits a dream. And away. Oh dear. The trouble with this time of the year, you get a streamy nose, don't you? Drippy nose. Home, James. And don't spare the horses. Right, I've put the autopilot on and set it to home, and it's the autopilot is doing all the steering. I'm doing nothing. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. It was great to get out, albeit for a small window. The sea is now lovely. The sea is lovely and calm. Yeah. Let's head in and put the boat away. Hopefully I've got enough water under my hull to get into my mooring. Going a bit faster than I normally do. One, because it's good to give the engine a little bit of a burnout, and two, I want to use up some of this fuel. I don't want old fuel sitting around in the tanks. Make a decent space in there, so when I put fresh fuel in, it outnumbers the old stuff, if you know what I mean. And yeah, lights are in my favour. Can't see any ferries coming in behind me. Can't see a ferry steaming up in the harbour. The Rampion boat's on its way back in. You might see it. This buoy that's coming up, I think it's some sort of survey buoy that assesses wind, wave height and tidal strength. It's got an aerial on the top of it, so it's obviously transmitting to somebody. Be interesting to find out more. If anybody knows, leave us a comment. I say it's got an aerial on the top. It hasn't got an aerial on the top. Oh, it has. Yeah, it's got an aerial on the top of it. It's got a flashing light on it. Yeah, so if anybody knows what that buoy is, please leave a comment. Be interested to know. Always call up as a matter of courtesy, just to make sure that they'll let you know if there's a dredger working or something like that. So if we get a little bit closer, I'll slow down and I'll give them a shout on channel 12, which is New Haven Hailing channel. Make sure it's clear for me to come in. That's channel 12. Slow it down a bit so I can hear what they're saying. New Haven Radio, CJ over. Yeah, am I clear to enter, sir?
Yeah, you're clear to enter.
Thank you. No, it's always good to do that, just as a matter of courtesy. It's kind of a radio check, isn't it? I mean, I'm not saying a radio check, but I know I'm transmitting and I know that he's receiving, so that's good. Autopilot's now finished, so and we're home. Right, my fenders are down, my bow thruster is switched on. It's just a case of getting in and getting into my mooring. Always a little bit fraught. Thing I've got to remember, and it's a lesson to be learned for anybody who's out boating, is you gear then steer. So take it out of gear, change the heading that you want to do when you're manoeuvring, and then put it back in gear again. Don't try to be changing the angle of your engine whilst you're still under power, because you will end up just going all over the place. So it's gear then steer. Still plenty of water in here anyway, so I should be able to get onto my mooring. We're back reasonably early, which is good. Just so good to be out here. Slow it down a bit. It's got a little trickle of revs going on. Just enough to keep me underway, but not too fast. Going 2.3 knots at the moment. We've got to snake around to get into where the moorings are. Someone's got all their smalls out to dry on the line there. Let's see if I can get that on camera. Someone's got all their underwear out drying. There's my happy hole, sitting happily on the water. Try and give myself a bit of space so that I can angle into it. Make sure the bow thruster's working. I want to discover it's not working at the wrong moment. Just coasting now. A little bit more of a nose. Obviously I can't use the bow thrusters now because I'm inside the happy hole. I want to be sucking the happy hole into the bow thruster. I think I'm pretty much in. It's a case of using the billock, boat hook to get me in. So let's get a boat hook out and fully position myself. That's it, we're all tied up and we're ashore. So again, thanks for joining us. I will catch you on the next one. and Bertie says goodbye to. Well, we're back in, the boat's all cleaned up, put away, but the tide is out now, and now I can see how close I was to not getting in. Let's just turn this round. Look at the bloody trench I dug getting in here. So that was dug coming in here. So I reckon another half an hour and we wouldn't have got in. And we were lucky to get in. You know, I've definitely dug a trench. I'm not knacking my engine, it was running all right anyway. Giving it a good flush out. But yeah. Yeah, as soon as I get back to the mooring where I haven't got this problem, the better. Yeah, you can see that down that big hole down there is where I was manoeuvring the boat backwards and forwards to get onto the happy hole. Yeah, alright, anyway. Happy days. See you later.